Hello everybody. Just shooting a video today thinking about how the world is, how it changes. And it's not really that it changes all that much. Um, physically, yes. But we're all in the same state of being, right? Um, those in it, that's what changes. Seems like the good ones always go away. They always go too soon. Well, that's the way it would seem, but with each generation that passes, the next will say that the generation before it was the great generation that passed. Well, to me, that alludes nothing to anything except a degradation as time moves forward. And maybe it's an enhancement in technology, but a degradation nonetheless. So if I want to cut down this tree sitting behind me, I'm going to go grab a chainsaw. And when I grab that chainsaw, I'll fuel it up, cut it up. With that small of a tree, well, they're posts in the way, it's about the same size. With that small of a tree, it's maybe 8 inches around. It might take, maybe, if I'm moving slow, all day to cut that thing up, limb it, pile the limbs up, take the firewood off, split it, and stack it. Maybe. And that's if I'm moving slow and don't get started till 10. Okay. Back in the day, you might have used a 2-man saw. Well, that 2-man saw took you a lot longer to deal with. But if you had a nice sharp saw, you had a good saw partner, then you could cut through some wood. But the technology back in the day, the saws were sharper. The saws were made better. The teeth were set better. There's a teeth setter that I have in my building just for setting teeth to separate, to cut out a bigger kerf, and to drag that sawdust out so that your blade doesn't get bound up in it. Okay, so the saws were designed for the work they were doing at the time, and that was the best technology at the time. So to them, using that was a lot better than using an axe or using something else. So I think it's the same way today. So they might have been out back without their tooth setter, right? Or without the ability to sharpen that, or if it broke, without the ability to go get a new blade. Us, these days, are out back without fuel, or the ability to go get fuel. So, or the ability to go buy a spark plug if one goes bad, or sharpen a chain if we need to sharpen that chain, right, without a sharpener. So, short of living in a hut, we're never going to be truly prepared to be an island on our own, right? We're just not, and that's fine. And I've come to terms with that, even though I've spent maybe 15 years trying to avoid that and think that I could, in fact, operate as an island should I need to. But I now know that that's a life in fantasy. And so it makes me think about things a lot differently than I used to. It really does. A lot of our tools are useless these days without electricity or without fossil fuels of some kind. I'm sitting on a tractor bucket. I don't know if you can kind of tell. Well, can't really tell. It's black. But I'm sitting on a tractor bucket that's been taken off the tractor. I'm constantly fixing my tractor. But life is so much easier with that tractor. It really is. And it's a small tractor. It's a newer model tractor, right? And I'm constantly fixing it. But it's got 4-wheel drive. Goes up a hill. It's got a grapple. That's why I'm sitting on the bucket, because the grapple's on it right now. And I cleared 3 massive trees out of my field, which is up in hay right now, nearly about to my waist in hay. And I managed to clear 3 trees out of it by just a chainsaw and that tractor with the grapple and a counterweight. So in modern day times, we have a lot of other things that are eating at us, right? That didn't before. And so I'll just say that the struggle is the same. We still have trees down in our fields. We still have issues with other people. The methods to correct those are different. The reliance on others is the same. It's just what that reliance is. It's different. So, as a homesteader, I think it's important to free yourself from the expectation that you can somehow be completely self-sufficient. And it's been a hard realization for me. It is hard for me to give that up, because I fought so hard to get where I am now, to get to where I dreamed I would be 10, 15 years ago, to now realize that I can never truly get to where I wanted to be, but I can get pretty close. I'm growing fruit trees. I'm growing a garden. I mean, I've stayed away from debt, as far as consumer debt and house paid for sort of thing. You know, having property that's paid for, having goats fenced in, having chickens in a chicken coop that I've built. You know, learning how to build things with my own hands and doing that, and completely remodeling everything that I've owned just with my own hands. You know, building my own barns, working on building barns with trees that I've cut out of the woods and drug down. So I will say it's made me better, and it was certainly worth it. And I'm certainly going to continue to do it. But I think I'm going to shift my focus a little bit, and maybe shift it away from trying to completely escape from society, but rather how to limit my footstep with society to only certain things. And I've noticed that people don't buy the things they used to buy. And I'm very concerned about the way of life that we have right now and the ability to attain it going away. If you're not allowed to produce your own food on your own property, then my friend, we are done. So if you live in a city and they tell you have to have a perfect lawn that's manicured and just everything's just so, you need to get out of there. You need to get out of there. People don't tell me what to do on this place. And I'll tell you, Virginia as a whole is pretty fascist as far as telling people what to do with their property. In fact, almost all the counties have zoning, and they're dictated to. I live in one without zoning. My county is a little rebellious. The land itself in this county is rough, but it's not too bad. It's rough enough, but there are worse. But I will say this: I think if you give away your freedom to grow food on your own property, in the ground you own, then we're in trouble. Now the taxes also. I live in a low tax county. If you live in a high tax county, you can't even afford to keep your ground. So it's important to choose wisely where you live, and to get involved to an extent at which tyranny doesn't inflict upon you and doesn't move into your backyard. Because that's what happens. And people just sleep on it. They don't wake up and they don't say, hey, stop doing that. No, You're not going to tax me $5,000 a year on a house I paid $40,000 for. Forget about it. No, that's what we need to start doing. You know, in this county, you might pay $200 a year, and that's okay. You know what? I want to pay $200 a year towards, or $300 a year even, towards my county government. I'm okay with that. But once it gets to a point to where I'm paying $500 a month, $6,000 a year for the house I live in, no, not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm moving somewhere where that's not a thing. Be it in the United States of America or not, I'm not paying $500 a month to live in my house that's paid for. Now, I wouldn't even pay $100 a month. I mean, it gets ridiculous at some point. Anything over $1,000 a year to pay to live in the house you own free and clear just doesn't make sense. Okay? If it's anywhere near your electric bill, it doesn't make sense. So, anyway, for what it's worth, think about how you can change your situation. And maybe that involves you changing your mindset, and that's all. And that's what's been going on with me. But it's been good. It's been a good change. Anyway, have a good one.